Is this really all they had to worry about? Boys, movies, deciding which shirt goes with which skirt? It's bizarre. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, everything in between, and neither. Today I want to talk about, well, as Christmas is nearing and last week or whatever was Thanksgiving, fuck Columbus, and this time of the year is a time to maybe reflect on things, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about all the things stories in games have showed me that I can be thankful for. Obviously, it's not just the games that showed me that, it's just common fucking sense, but on this channel I talk a lot about video games, and therefore I will be using games and things happening in games as examples. So before we get into the video, feel free to follow me on my social media on Instagram and Twitter at CommanderNici, just like my channel name. And now let's get started. And maybe as you've guessed from my intro, The Last of Us is what first got me started thinking about that stuff. Like that quote, it still stuck with me and still is it's one of my favorite moments in gaming, and yeah, and like it really got me thinking that sometimes I worry about the most mundane little problems, like just yesterday I forgot that I noticed that I forgot to buy energy drinks, and like those are not needed for survival at all. Like I could surely go a day without them. I have been for the whole weekend now. I was out shopping on Friday, and I just simply forgot, because I was so busy focusing on other things that I wanted to buy, and I simply forgot, even if I wrote it down, but I hadn't checked my list. And it's just more of a habit. I can still go and drink a coffee at work instead of my usual energy drink. It's just like I don't like drinking coffee much if I don't have the time for it, and if coffee gets cold without me wanting it to get cold, I don't like it. It tastes bad, and an energy drink, especially with the temperatures now, doesn't change its temperature from the first sip to the last. And even if it goes from really nice, chill and cold to maybe closer to room temperature, it's no big deal. And I was really worried about that, and that's stupid to worry about something like that when you have to fight for survival. Fun fact, in my initial notes, yes, the idea for this video is so old, I have been taking so long, I still had written down, there is no virus going around that's killing people. Ho times changed. But I'm still healthy, people around me are still healthy, everything is okay, it's not as bad as other people have been hit, and I'm extremely grateful for that. And yeah, The Last of Us really has that stuff marked down with that scene, with that journal. And if you worry about small things, you can be really fucking grateful. There is so much bigger things to worry about, like, as I talked about being healthy. Think about Red Dead Redemption 2. So, little spoiler warning for Red Dead Redemption 2. I'll make sure to put a timestamp down there. So skip if you don't want to get a little bit spoiled. So, in Red Dead Redemption 2, Arthur Morgan contracts tuberculosis, and his health condition gets worse and worse and worse towards the end of the game, and people are pretty unsure if he in the end dies of tuberculosis or the results of the fight he has at the end of the game. But yeah, and the game is set in 1899, and just a few decades later, about 1943, a vaccine for tuberculosis gets invented and developed, and that's just so fucking unfortunate that Arthur has to die because of that. Like, basic healthcare is such an important thing, and we can be so glad that we have vaccines for so many diseases and illnesses out there, and viruses and stuff, and I just, some viruses are basically non-existent anymore because of the amounts of people that are vaccinated against it, and it's just so cool that healthcare developed in such a way that we have such good lives now, and we don't have to die from, I don't know, get blood poisoning from a small cut. Of course, people still get that if they don't have the right vaccine or right care, but it's so good to have healthcare. It's amazing, and to think that some people are against measurements to fight certain sicknesses is I can't really get that into my head. It's unbelievable, to be honest. Yeah, and like, look at Red Dead Redemption 2, the basic healthcare that wasn't there back then, that we have now. It's just so good that we can just go. I mean, depending on where you live, obviously, like the crazy stories that I heard about the American healthcare system. But here, where I live, if you're sick, you can go to the doctor and get treatment, and everything is fine. You'll survive. And it's okay, it's great. Healthcare is such a wonderful thing, and to have access to it, it's great. Also, the places where you live. That's the thing too to be grateful for. Like, imagine living in a place like Skyrim or the Old West, like we see in the Red Dead Redemption games, where suddenly a wild bear could just jump you out of the bushes. I mean, wild bears could still attack you, but not me. Bears don't live here. The most dangerous thing that lives here is probably wild boars, and I have only ever seen one once out of the safety of my car, and I was crossing the street, and you know, there's all kind of stuff going on with Yo, if you don't seem to make threats towards the young, you'll be fine. So, no wild animals that could attack me, no fight for survival. It's actually good. Like, also survival in general. I live in a home. I can wear a t-shirt in winter inside because it's just warm enough with the heating, and having that is really, really good. And imagine having to keep a fire up all night to not freeze to death. that would be quite stressful, and like shopping all the wood for it and everything. Like, I'm so glad I don't have to fight for my life, for survival, for food. Imagine me, one of the most impatient people ever, having to go hunting. Like, wow. Or fishing. That would take so much patience. I mean, I guess if I had to, like if my life would rely on it, I could probably handle and manage, but me, as how I am now with all my being, I wouldn't have the patience for hunting or fishing to survive. And if you say, hey, maybe just go plant-based. Yo, I don't know anything about gardening either, and if you go for gardening, you're totally reliant on the weather, which can fuck you hard if you're really unlucky. So yes, I'm so glad that I have everything that I need right here. I just ate my second warm meal of the day. Imagine just living like that, eating whatever you want, opening the fridge, going shopping and deciding, yo, today I want a steak, and oh, tomorrow I'll eat pizza, and I think then it's time for some ramen. How about some pasta with some nice tomato sauce? I can pick whatever I want and eat it. All in all, when it comes down to the simplest things, I think sometimes it's a little bit stupid to worry about mundane stuff, but I think worrying about mundane stuff also shows how good of a life I actually have. There's so many problems everywhere, and I'm not saying just because you don't have it as bad as others, your problems don't matter. What is bad for you is bad for you, and nobody can tell you, hey, be glad you don't have it worse, because that's an asshole move. Don't make someone feel bad for feeling bad about something that's maybe not bad for you. Be thankful for what you've got, and yeah, appreciate life, because it's the only one you have. Yeah, so I guess that's it. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Comment down below what are maybe some stupid things you sometimes worry about that aren't even that bad. Do you have more examples of what we can all be grateful about that we don't have to suffer through? Subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to follow me on my social media on Instagram and Twitter at CommanderNici, just like my channel name. And until I figure out what I can upload next, watch my stuff. Bye.